I told myself it was just a visit. Nothing heavy, nothing emotional, just a short stop before going back to the life I already knew how to manage. I even left my bag in the car, as if that would make it easier to leave. It was late, but not too late. The sky still held a little blue, the kind that fades slowly, like it doesn't want to let go of the day yet. I remember standing outside his door for a moment longer than necessary, listening to my own breathing, wondering why my chest felt tight. I knocked anyway. When he opened the door, he looked surprised. Not startled, just quietly surprised, like he hadn't expected me, but maybe hoped I would come. "Hey," he said. "Hey," I replied. That was it. No explanations. No apologies. Just two people standing in a doorway, holding more history than either of us wanted to unpack. He stepped aside to let me in. Before I tell you this story, welcome to Heartstrings and Scars, where we unravel the untold stories of love, betrayal, and the life-changing lessons they leave behind. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our growing community. We promise you stories that will make you reflect, question, and maybe even see yourself in the characters we share. The place smelled familiar. Coffee, and something warm I couldn't name. Comfort, maybe. I took off my shoes, out of habit, and followed him inside. We sat. We talked. We kept things light at first. Work, the weather, small things that don't ask too much of you. The kind of conversation people have when they're afraid of what silence might invite. But silence found us anyway. It always did. There was a moment when neither of us spoke. He leaned back slightly, his hand resting on the edge of the couch. I watched his fingers move, without meaning to. I wondered if he noticed the way my foot brushed against his. "I didn't think you'd come tonight," he said softly. "I didn't think I would either," I answered. That was the first honest thing I'd said all evening. Time moved strangely after that. Minutes stretched. Conversations deepened. We talked about things we'd avoided before, what we wanted, what scared us, what we missed, but didn't know how to ask for. At some point, I realized I wasn't checking the time anymore. He poured us tea. I wrapped my hands around the mug for warmth, but it didn't help much. My thoughts were louder than the room. "You can leave whenever you want," he said, almost casually. I nodded. "I know." But neither of us moved. The first touch was accidental. At least, that's what we pretended. His knee brushed mine. I felt it instantly, like a spark that didn't burn but stayed. He didn't pull away. I didn't either. We looked at each other then, really looked. There was something fragile in his eyes, something careful. He wasn't rushing. He wasn't pushing. "Tell me if I should stop," he said. I didn't answer right away. Then I shook my head. So he leaned in slowly, giving me time to change my mind. When his lips finally met mine, the kiss was soft, questioning, the kind that asks instead of takes. I answered without words. I thought that would be it. A kiss. A moment. Enough to satisfy the ache and let me go. But it wasn't. We stayed close, talking between kisses, laughing quietly at how familiar it all felt, at how easy it was to slip back into something we'd never really left. At some point, the room grew darker. The city outside quieted. I noticed the way the night wrapped around us, making everything feel smaller, safer. "You can stay," he said gently, like it was an offer, not an assumption. I hesitated. I thought about my car, my bag, the plans I'd made for the next morning, the version of myself who was supposed to leave. And then I thought about how calm I felt sitting there, how unguarded. I didn't expect to. I admitted. He nodded. "I know." When we finally lay down, there was no rush, no urgency, just closeness. His arm around me, my head on his chest, his breathing slow and steady beneath my ear. I listened to it like it was something precious. Sleep came easily, which surprised me most of all. In the morning, light spilled softly into the room. I woke before he did and watched the day arrive. For a moment, I felt the familiar urge to slip away quietly, but I didn't. When he opened his eyes and saw me still there, he smiled. Not wide, just enough. "Morning," he said. "Morning." No regret, no awkwardness, just the quiet understanding that some nights change you, not because of what happened, but because of what you allowed yourself to feel. I didn't expect to stay that night, but I did. And somehow, staying felt like the most honest thing I'd done in a long time. I stayed longer than I meant to the next morning. At first, it was just a few extra minutes, sitting on the edge of the bed, letting the quiet stretch, pretending I wasn't already rearranging my day in my head. He got up and made coffee like it was the most natural thing in the world, like us, together in the morning wasn't something fragile. I watched him from the doorway, the way he moved slowly, still half asleep, the way he glanced back at me, as if to make sure I hadn't disappeared, the way his presence filled the space without effort. "You don't have to rush," he said, handing me a mug. "I know," I replied, but part of me still felt like I should. We sat at the small table near the window. Morning light softened everything. The city sounded distant, like it was giving us privacy. "This doesn't have to mean more than it does," I said, finally breaking the quiet. He nodded. "And it doesn't have to mean less either." That sentence stayed with me, because it didn't pressure me. It didn't promise anything. It just made room. When I finally left, he walked me to my car. There was no dramatic goodbye, no lingering kiss meant to seal something permanent, just a long look, a gentle touch on my arm. "Text me when you get home," he said. "I will." And I did. The days that followed felt different. Not louder, not brighter, just closer. We didn't rush into anything. We didn't name it. We met for coffee, for walks, for quiet evenings that felt familiar and new at the same time. Sometimes we talked about that night. Sometimes we didn't. But every time our paths crossed, there was an understanding between us, an acknowledgement that something real had happened, something that couldn't be undone. One evening, weeks later, we sat on his couch again. Same place, same soft lighting, different feeling. I almost didn't come that night. I said. He smiled. "I know." I told myself it wouldn't matter. And I looked at him, really looked. It mattered. He reached for my hand, lacing his fingers with mine, like it was something he'd been doing for years. "I'm glad you stayed," he said. So was I, because sometimes the moments that change us don't come with plans or certainty. They come quietly. They ask us to listen to our bodies, to our hearts, to the part of us that knows when it's time to stop running. I didn't expect to stay that night, but staying taught me something I didn't know I needed to learn. That choosing to remain, when everything in you is afraid, can be the beginning of something honest. And honest lasts. So if quiet stories like this matter to you, you're welcome here. Subscribe to the channel and tap like if this story felt familiar. It helps these moments reach someone who may be living them right now. Leave a comment and tell me where you're listening from.